Hey everybody, welcome in. Let me just check and make sure I am live. I think I should be. Well, today I'll just ramble on and give you the quick preamble before we jump in. But it's to talk about kind of the state of the market, where we are. Yeah, we are live. Good stuff. Kill that for now. So I decided to put together one of my usual TA Tuesdays, but dedicated entirely to where we are with Bitcoin. So I pulled together all my favorite Bitcoin indicators. Many are very technical in nature, and I want to walk you through everything and then give you the conclusion of where I think we are in this market at the very end. So big thank you to everybody for being here. So let's, as usual, not waste any time. Disclaimer, non-investment advice, of course, but everybody needs to own a bit of Bitcoin. That is investment advice. Even if there's a 1% chance that it blows up, it's very, very important for our future. This channel is about math, money, and freedom. And before I jump in, I do want to talk about a couple of things. One was Peter Schiff was on the Pomp show yesterday, and Peter Schiff said inflation is 15%, which is the number I've been talking about for 6 months now. So it was great to have a validation for somebody like Peter Schiff. Although he is a hardcore gold bug and he hates Bitcoin, he does know macroeconomics and he does know inflation. So he made the perfect case for Bitcoin in his video yesterday. So if anybody's interested in seeing that, go check it out. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the tools I use, obviously TradingView as always, and the preamble. So this is kind of weird. This is actually true as how to survive a bear attack. But I believe there's some weird things going on, and this will kind of make sense later in the presentation. But the preamble I'm trying to get across is here. Market manipulation is continuing. Price action is definitely being artificially controlled. So be patient, and we all know the end game. Now, first of all, how to survive a bear attack. We are being attacked by bears who are manipulating the market. And there's two types of bears, brown bears and black bears. If it's black, fight back. And I believe we're fighting black bears, not brown bears. If it's a brown bear, just roll up and pretend you're dead. But this is a black bear situation. Now, what's very interesting statistics, in North America, there are 750,000 black bears, 750,000, and they kill less than one person on average every year, while 1 out of 16,000 people are murdered in the United States every year. So what's more dangerous? Definitely not bears. So the point is, don't worry about bears. Okay, I'm going to jump in. I'm now going to talk about, I'm going to see if any questions are actually popping up right now in the chat, so bear with me 1 second. And I forget how to turn on the chat. Yes, I see the questions and reactions right now. I want to be able to monitor that because all contributions go to the Vikings. Little Viking coach, thank you so much for that. So I'm going to go through all my favorite indicators, and I'm going to start at the beginning and go to the more complex ones as we go. And I'll answer the question on ETH later, and we can talk about that in the Q&A afterwards. But it's very easy to identify when an asset will cool off, even for a short period of time. And this is very visible from the charts that are in overbought territory. Now, I've covered RSI in the past. RSI above 70. I use an RSI factor of 10. That means it's overbought, and there's pretty sure there'll be a pullback. And an RSI below 30 means it's highly likely that bulls will take control and drive the price upwards. So you can see here, this is the historical chart of the last 12 months of Bitcoin. You can see the clear RSI sell signals. But what's interesting is there have only been 3. And you can see the 3 buy signals, basically when the RSI has been under 30. So it's been kind of interesting to look at. So that's kind of the first indicator I want us to drill into. And all very positive. We are definitely not overbought. In fact, we are oversold. So second one is MACD. Same type of deal. MACD, as you know, is the moving average convergence divergence indicator. And this is one of the more popular indicators, at least for me, for trading equities and also cryptos. I look at this religiously before I get into any position, just like RSI and other factors. Now, what's interesting about this one, it's really simple and it works. It really works 80% of the time, at least for me, the way I configure it. Now, it provides very strong sell signals and buy signals that are correct again 80% of the time. And the MACD represents the trend following indicator that highlights whether the short-term price momentum is moving in the same direction as the long-term price momentum. And in that case, where it's not, then it's used to determine if a trend change is near. Hence, buy and sell indicators. So I indicated here with green circles all the buy indicators for the MACD. As you can see, we have 5 over the same time period. RSI, we only had 3. MACD, we had 5 buy and, coincidentally, 5 sell signals too. Now, one of the things I do want to point out to you all that during these times of a flat market, TA is less functional unless it's on big clear trends up or down. But at the same time, it does tell you some stories. But we'll continue on. So a third one, Bollinger Bands. I love Bollinger Bands. And Bollinger Bands are set to 2 standard deviations for all the math geeks out there. They know exactly what that means. That means 95% of all the price action happens in the channels. I like to buy and I like to sell when we go outside of the channels. That means that 2.5% on the upside and 2.5% on the downside. And remember, a couple of other things to always keep in mind with Bollinger Bands is as price volatility increases, the bands tighten as the volatility declines. And wider bands imply a higher standard deviation, which means an average price is less likely to be concentrated near the mean. So it gives you a lot of context around price. Now here, using the same time frame again, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buy signals from Bollinger Bands. That means we're outside. Now these are not perfect all the time, but again, 80% of the time they work really, really well. But you'll see as well, we have 4 buy signals versus 1 sell signal since we've been in this flat range. So again, another feather in the cap that this bull market is not over. And that's the big thing I'm trying to get across here to everybody. Now let's talk about some of the simplest stuff, which I love. This is support and resistance lines. Now, support has not been hit since the 26th of June. So if you look at this chart again, you'll see my green indicators. Boom, 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 5 times on that support line, but we haven't gotten close to it. And that support line is about $30,400 by my trend lines. And then we have a downward descending resistance line at the top. Now, I made a post on Patreon, I think it was over the weekend, when we actually broke out above this line for the first time in forever. And I was really bullish, and I was hoping Bitcoin would flip that resistance line into support. It didn't. It crashed through. And that tells me that something is going on. This market is kind of being manipulated. Anyway, you can see the sell signals at the top of that resistance line. We have 6 of those, and we have 5 buys. So that's kind of where I see it happening. And again, something's going on. The support line is getting higher. The resistance line is getting shorter. So we're creating this little compression area, and something has to give. Something's got to pop. And I am 90% sure the direction will be upwards. I just don't know when. We could be flat for another 1, 2, 3 months. But definitely long term, hodl away, and the future is very bright. But wait, there's a lot more. Puell Multiple. Hey, little Viking coach, thank you for all you do, buddy. This metric, you probably know about it, looks at the supply side of Bitcoin's economy. That is the Bitcoin miners and their revenue. Now, there's been a huge upset in the Bitcoin. Let me pop out for a second. Massive disruption in Bitcoin mining. And that was due to China shutting all the miners down. And the beauty of the industry, though, is they can pack up their bags and go, but they had to dump a lot of Bitcoin to fund their transportation costs, their moving costs, relocation. They've gone to Kazakhstan, they've gone to Maryland in the US. Some are going to El Salvador, some are going to Africa, some are going to the Ukraine. And it's just wonderful to see. I think there's also some going to parts of Scandinavia and Iceland. Anyhow, it's great news. But the really cool thing about Bitcoin is it survived this huge disruption. Now, this Puell Multiple, getting back to it, basically compares Bitcoin miners and their revenue. Again, the supply side of Bitcoin's economy. And you can see what we're trying to do here is pull in technical indicators that are very similar to how you would analyze an equity. Things like price earnings multiples and stuff like that. Now, the chart here highlights periods of value when Bitcoin is issued on a daily basis has historically been extremely low. And that means entering the red zone. So what you're seeing here, since the history of Bitcoin began, only 5 times in history has the Puell Multiple been this low. And we are in one of those times now. The last time was March 2020. Then we had 17th of December 2019. Sorry, 2018. I think it's 2017, can't see from here, 19th of January 2015, and back in 2011 was the other time. So the other thing to note is you have red boxes. We've had 3 of those where the Puell multiple says, hey, time to sell, time to get out. So we are not near a time to get out signal, but we are definitely in a bullish accumulation phase that has only happened 5 times in nearly 12 years. And that's staggering. That's the point I want to try to get across here. Now let's go a little bit deeper. This one is a really cool one. This is called the Bitcoin MVRV Z-Score. This is the Bitcoin market value, Bitcoin realized value over the market value standard deviation. And it's a complex score and formula, but really what it does, it basically calculates the realized value of when Bitcoin's last moved. Now the MVRV Z-Score shows the market's value relative position to realized value. Now the MVRV going high means Bitcoin is overvalued, and the MVRV going low means it's undervalued. And I want you all to guess where we are now. It also shows when the market value is far below realized value by highlighting the Z-score entering the green box in some cases, but in this case, it's just the blue line that I use. And you can see it's almost at an all-time low. So that is an extremely bullish indicator as well. I'm hoping maybe something bearish will come up. All right, let's go to the HODL waves. Now, you've all heard about the HODL waves. I'm not sure how much everybody knows about them, but think of it in terms of dark, cool colors. These are the lost coins or the ancient coins. These are the coins that haven't budged or moved in over 5 years. Then you have your coins that are older than 1 year to 5 years, and whatever you want to call those kind of light pastel shades. They are kind of the middle wave. And then these entities, you've got the short reddish colors as well. These are the people that have moved coins over the past 6 months or less. So that is the situation right there. Now, coins younger than 6 months are generally considered young coins, which also makes up a majority of the day-to-day transaction volumes. And many young coins are held by speculative short-term investors and traders. There might be a few of you out there. And they are most likely to be respent, which means sold or bought, and remaining young. The point of this chart, though, is the amount of hodling has increased. But hold on. There's a second way to interpret the HODL waves. So if you pull out all the colors and just focus on the short-term colors, you will see this. So fewer short-term hodlers means, and you can see the line, I put a little red arrow there to show you, means there is less hodling going on. And I keep on saying that what is basically going on is the coins are moving, the vast majority of coins are moving from the weak hands to the strong hands. The 7 new whales last week, that means 1,000 plus coin holders have exploded. We have a huge growth in the number of holders with 100,000 and more, like Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy. And fortunately, those with 10 coins or less, between 1 and 10 coins, is also growing. And a big thank you to Patreon. We have over 600 new whole coiners since March, which is massive. So we're getting the message across again. Having a whole coin for the future is massively important. And this is sort of represented here, but there's going to come a time when you're going to open that treasure box and you're going to look in and say, I want to buy some Bitcoin, and there's not going to be any left. And then we're going to go parabolic. But let's talk about that. This is the Bitcoin liquid supply. This is the coins moving to the exchanges, typically means very bearish sign. It means the whales are selling. And the coins leaving the exchanges means hodling, which is very bullish. Now, you saw a big dumpage during the last downturn we've had over the past 8 weeks. That's the big teal spike there. But now that has massively reversed over the last week or so. So you see the big red spike downward. The Bitcoin liquid supply is vanishing from the exchanges. You all know what that means. And it's going to come a time when I say there's going to be no coins left. Now, another one. This is what I call the PE ratio of Bitcoin. This is the NVT ratio, which is the net value to transactions ratio. And it's similar to the PE ratio in equity markets. When Bitcoin's NVT is high, it indicates that the network valuation is outstripping the value being transmitted on its payment network. And this can happen when the network is in high growth and investors are valuing it as a high return investment. Basically, think of it like an overvalued stock. Now, alternatively, when the price is in Low value mode, it is a good value to buy. Now, Bitcoin's NVT is calculated by dividing, as I mentioned, the network value, which is the market cap, by the daily USD volume transmitted through the blockchain. And it's very easy to see, and Willy Woo calculates this. And you can see right now we are at a low. It's kind of difficult to see that, but you're going to see a green dotted line, which represents a 200-day average, and the red line is just bouncing above that. When we get to the top line, which is the red NVT sell signal, that's time to sell. And again, as usual, we are nowhere near that. So let's see what else we got. So stock to flow deflection. You all know about Plan B and a stock to flow model. Well, this is a kind of an iteration of that. And here you can see very easily, anybody can see from this chart, we are at a historical deviation or massive deflection from the stock to flow model. And this not only gives a general indication of the relative value of Bitcoin, it also provides an additional argument that the cryptocurrency market is in the middle of a long-term bull market. So again, I am looking for bearish signals. I'm looking for indicators that this bull market is over. I've come up empty and I'm not even done. So here we go. This, in terms of more deviation, this is from Pantera Capital, and I love some of their analytics. This is their deviation of Bitcoin's price from its 11-year trend. And basically it shows the current price is 36% below the trend line. And additionally, this chart shows through its history, the alpha cryptocurrency, which is the big mama Bitcoin, has only spent 20% of its time below the zero level. Now we are minus 36% below the zero level. Does that look like a bottom to anybody? Let me know in the comments below. So let's go. Minor net position change. I think this is the penultimate one. This shows you what miners are doing. Now, typically miners produce 900 Bitcoin a day, and they normally sell them to pay their bills. And they had to sell, like I mentioned, in June of this year to relocate from China. That's all the red selling there. So the market has faced a ton of dumpage, as I call it. Got to coin that phrase on Twitter somehow. Dumpage from the miners. So there's been a glut of coin hitting the market. But that changed a couple of days ago. Now they're hodling again. They are not selling. Now this is partly because a lot of the new miners tend to be Iranian miners, Kazakhstani miners, other countries that are running mining operations. You have US miners and Canadian miners, and they're all hodling, like HODL, classic example. Bitcoin in the balance sheet by year end. They are not selling one, and they plan to do a Michael Saylor and basically be a Hotel California. Once the coins go in, they're going to keep them. So anyway, that's the minor net position change. More good news. Let's go to, I think it's not even the final one. I found so much. This is the BSSR. It's like the USSR, but this stands for the Stablecoin Supply Ratio. And what this is created by Willy Woo. It's an oscillator, also using Bollinger Bands, and you can see them in the faint lines in the chart there. But this current recovery is resembling that of late 2018. You can see that, but rings in there, and March 2020. And September 2020. Now the stable coins are starting to flow back in from the sidelines. What happens when people dump their stable coins? What do they buy with them? All roads lead to Bitcoin. Final slide. Sorry about this. A lot of material to get through. But again, I'm sharing everything that I look at. That's all very important and running through it very quickly. So I hope you're enjoying it. Leverage. This is another thing I look at. This is not a direct indicator as to what's going to happen in the market. It also doesn't give you buy or sell signals. But what it does for me, when I look at the amount of leverage used and options purchased and stuff like that, it gives me an indication as to how bullish the market is. And it helps me understand when the market is becoming manic or not. And right now, I put in some red arrows indicating, tops when leverage traders are getting wiped out, and when they're slowly begin to ramp up again. And that means it's another bullish sign. So in conclusion, before I open up to Q&A, I just want to say there's something funky going on. I think all of these indicators I have never seen in a decade plus of looking at charts and stuff. I've never seen so much fundamental technical bullishness. Every indicator is yes, 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 yes. We looked at 20 indicators. And the summary, real quick for everybody, Bitcoin is the hardest money. As Peter Schiff said, we were at 15% inflation. Do you want to hold your cash in a bank losing 15% when the bank pays you nothing? Or do you want to take a gamble on a risky asset like Bitcoin that's averaged 200% returns every single year? That's the question. So we have a video coming tomorrow, how to convince your loved ones to get into Bitcoin. Let me know in the comments below if that's of interest, and we will do it. So based on all Bitcoin history, based on all real value, stock to flow, trends, etc., this is one of the best times to buy from a TA perspective. Do your own research, but I do believe the market's being manipulated and controlled. So I want to thank everybody for this, and I'm going to open up the Q&A. I'm just going to pop up the actual questions right now on YouTube. Bear with me 1 second while I do that. Switch cameras. Hold on, everybody. This takes 1 millisecond. There, it's cringeworthy to hear my voice. So I paused it. I got the questions, and I see a super chat already. Thank you so much for the contributions. They'll go to the animals. Oh, thank you for your time. Simeon, thank you so much for being here. Let me pop these out, and I just want to make sure everybody's going okay. I'll also pop up a few live charts because I know the market is weak like hell right now, and a lot of people are probably freaking out. But again, from a technical and fundamental perspective, things have never looked better in this space. Okay, let's go. Let me see. John Anon, GBTC discount, still a good buy for Roth IRA? Yes, if that's the only chance you have, it is crazy. I think the discount went to 12, 13, 14% over the last day or so. It's super cheap, and you're basically buying Bitcoin at $26,000 a coin. So I can't remember what the exact number is, but you need about 1,060 shares to be equivalent to be a whole coiner. So everybody, try to get those 1,000 GBTC shares if you can. And lots of news as well that Grayscale is cozying up to the government, and they're going to get an ETF approved first. And I always said that because there's no way a government the SEC can deny Grayscale and let another ETF player in the door first, because Grayscale own 660,000 Bitcoin. So that cannot be denied. So thank you for that question. Rodney Tootiel, thank you so much. And Artemis the dog. No, I should be getting questions on money for free. But again, thank you. And the animals chat, thank you. Gail, good to see you, mon ami. Let me see. So this is Urable. Master trader Gareth Soloway keeps saying Bitcoin is going to 18 to 20K before rocketing up. He said it again today, and he predicted Bitcoin was going to do it 30K when it was at 47K. What do you think? I think I just look at the buying pressure. I look at the supply. I look at the money flows. I look at the adoption rates. I just can't see it going under 30K. I wish it would. I would love to be able to buy Bitcoin at 20K. And also remember, $20,000 is where we were in 2017. So do you think we're going back to 2017 levels, 4 years later, after everything that has happened in terms of adoption and institutional investors and treasuries and countries and sovereigns? And I mean, 20K, chance would be a fine thing, as they say. I don't see it happen. Apple, $2.5 billion. The Apple growth is incredible. I'm getting out of Apple as soon as it hits $149. And I've actually upped my target a little bit, but that's when I am leaving Apple. We'll see where it goes. I think there's been a big move into some of the big tech names. I am holding on to things like my Google and my other solid transformational names, PayPal, MicroStrategy, of course, Shopify, Tesla. They're all the puppies I'm holding on to for a long time. So Tether. Yeah, I think Tether, the investors are making their clever decisions with Tether. Bitcoin is not going nowhere as long as it can be bought at 28,000 directly from Grayscale. Exactly, Max. Very, very good point. There is always that arbitrage play. And I think the shedding of some shares will be interesting to see what will happen. I don't think it'll have a big impact on Bitcoin itself as we go forward. But you're dead right. That is a very valid point. And what I just can't understand about Bitcoin is how it's staying in such a tight range. It screams manufactured manipulation to me. Anyway, it's not like your typical market cycle. Lucas Ryan retracted a message. Let me see. Little Viking coach. Go give a presentation in front of 1,300 people and see if your breath respirations increase. I don't get nervous. I've been on TV. I was on Bloomberg years ago. I used to speak at conferences in front of 3,000, 5,000 people. I don't care, but I'm in a very dry climate right now in a basement. I need to get a humidifier. I need to drink water. All I've had is coffee all day, which isn't good. So we'll see what happens. From Ed, question, do you think Grayscale ETH is a good bet for turning into an ETF? It will. Once the dominoes fall, once the first ETF gets approved in the US for a crypto, the rest will be approved. They'll have their checklist and it'll happen like dominoes. Ronnie Oliveira, thank you so much. What are your thoughts on token from TechLead? Launched a few days ago. I haven't looked at it. There's just so much crypto to look at. The signals I'm getting is we're going to analyze things like Harmony 1, Cosmos, and maybe the Celsius token later. So again, I listen to you. So the squeaky wheel gets the oil, as they say. I'm the oil. You guys let me know what you want. And of course, Patreon. And then I will jump in. So Peter Pagonas, thank you so much. Pagonas, hope I got that right. IA's most researched and articulate channel. Thank you. I'm looking to invest 5K into Solana or BTC. Thoughts? Interesting question. Let me see. I think Bitcoin, once it goes, it'll go, but I think it'll also drag all the alts with it. And let me look. I know Solana was really weak today. Everything got hammered. A quick look on that one. What I like to also do is do a comparison of how Solana and Bitcoin are compared and which one is oversold versus undersold. I'm just pulling up that chart right now. Right now, historically, Bitcoin is oversold, more oversold than Solana, but Solana moves faster. Like about if Bitcoin goes up $5, Solana goes up $8 or 8%, 5%, 8%. So I would put, I do like Solana very much. It's a hard one. I think if you don't have any Bitcoin, you need to have Bitcoin. Put 60% into Bitcoin, the rest into Solana or Aave as well. So, Peter, tough question. I don't have the perfect answer, but again, if you have bags full of Bitcoin, put it all in Solana, you make more money quicker, I believe. Dave Pulitzer, any word on Apple buying $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin? You owe me $5. Happy to feed the animals. Sorry, I misinterpreted that. Yes, so that was a vicious rumor. I do know that Apple are building up their crypto staff. They're hiring like crazy to build up their organization around crypto. They're going to get it at some stage. I just don't know when. But that would be a game changer for the space. That would wake everybody up, like the Microsofts of the world and everybody else. So, yes, Dave Pulitzer, I owe you $5. Anytime I see your questions, you will be addressed first. So thank you so much. I just think the board of Apple and the CFO are too conservative to do it right now. They're waiting to see what happens with Tesla earnings and if they have to take a write down. Because I reckon by my numbers, Tesla might have to take a write down of about $45 million, which is nothing. I think they're going to have a blowout quarter. So yeah. Tyler K. James, you should talk to Ben, the Cryptoverse. Would be a good conversation. Yeah, I saw that guy. Somebody sent me his video. Benjamin Cohen, I think is his name. And he did a video with Michael Saylor, and it looked like a complete train wreck. So I would not want to be doing a 2.5 hour interview and getting 5 questions answered. I need an answer every 30 to 50 seconds, or else I'm not happy. So I don't know if Michael Saylor would like my style. But Benjamin Cohen might. So yeah. We'll see what happens. Do you think what Benjamin Cohen is seeing? He thinks we're going to be trading sideways for a long period of time. I don't think a long period of time. This weakness in Bitcoin, this from one Brighton, is not sustainable in my opinion. There's too much money coming in, too much adoption, and not enough supply. Again, I just made the case looking at 20 indicators that the supply is draining from the market and adoption is going up like this. So I think to balance that out, summer is always weak. August especially, people go on holidays, like places like France. Paris, France is dead. Everybody takes the month off. Parts of the US, parts of other parts of the world, I'm sure, take vacation as well. So it'll be slow from a volume perspective, which means don't expect things to go parabolic. I did expect a big move in July because I expected a lot of funds to start activating and doing custody service for banks. That is happening, and I'm just waiting for the big hammer to drop. So we could trade sideways, but maybe 35 to 40K, but we will not be staying around 30K, 32K, as far as I can see. How did you hear about Bitcoin? I wish I did earlier, from Dominique Loro. Yeah, I heard about Bitcoin in 2017. I was always investing in the markets. It was very early 2017, and I got a little piece. And then I was working with my brother-in-law, and he got in high. I was invested in other things at the time. So I didn't have that much money to go in, but I would have probably gone in hard. And then when I saw it crashing from 20K all the way down, I watched carefully and I started accumulating bit by bit in 2018, 2019. And I was in all cash in 2019. I was expecting a financial crisis. And when March happened, I went in hard. I changed my life and went all in on things like Tesla and Square and all that other stuff. I went complete crazy shopping spree. And the rest is history. Dick Anderson, that is crazy, crazy, crazy generous. Thank you so much, sir. We will sponsor an animal in your name for that. Let me know in the comments below what you like. Cerberus, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you so much. From New Zealand. Do you think large institutional commodity desks will remain pledged to private blockchain consortiums or break for something public in the future? I'm not sure. I'm looking at all the weird stuff that's going on, the whole deviation from, the old school, the old trading desks to moving to different areas. What I am seeing is right now a big whole new creation of things like stablecoins. I'm looking at financial institutions seeking rent, getting better returns on their money with stablecoins, getting much more into leverage trading using options. The JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, they're dusting off their trading desks for crypto. So I see a lot of strange stuff happening, but there's going to come a time when the whole decentralized world and the centralized world will just snap apart, and there'll be winners and losers, and it's going to be mayhem for a while. You're already seeing that with banks like Bank of America that hated Bitcoin. They published nasty, stupid papers about Bitcoin, and all of a sudden, what did they do yesterday? We're getting into Bitcoin. So, the old expression, at first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they fight you, and then they join you, or whatever it is. I think that's what's happening. But yeah, I think so much is going to be happening in the blockchain space. Everything's going to be tokenized. Everything's moving to a blockchain. And I think the big institutions are trying to figure out exactly where they want to play. And there'll be a shakeout, and we don't know who's going to win. So kind of we'll see what's happening. We've got somebody, Spartacus Inc., the game influencer from Scotland. Hello, Scotland. Hope it's not too late your time. Hope I'm not keeping you up. Let me see. From Z, I don't invest in Aave. I don't want to risk 30% because of the safety module for a 6% APY. Also, USD can collapse and Aave will be screwed. What are your thoughts? I'm not sure what the angle is there, but I am still very, very bullish on Aave. And the US dollar, it's not going to collapse, but it will shrink over time. 10, 15% debasement every year for the next 5 years. And then the world will wake up. It's like, oh my God, it's $100 for 6 apples. What do I do? That's the way I see the world going, but it'll be gradual. Nothing, the stock market will have blips, but also you got to remember, people are talking about a huge stock market crash. Where are you going to put your cash? You're going to put it in gold. You're going to put in some commodities. You're going to put it in the stock market. The bond market's toast. There's 30 trillion, I think it is, in bonds that have negative yields. They're all looking for a home. So there's so much money slushing around in the system that, the stock market's going to benefit. Also, remember, with the USD basement of 15% per year, if the stock market doesn't make a 15% gain every year, that means it's flat or negative. So I still remain very bullish on the markets. So Chance Carpenter, Jimmy Tree did a nice job interviewing Sailor. It's worth a watch. I'll check that out. I'll see what happens. Any final questions before my throat completely shuts down? What do you think about Twilio? Twilio is on my buy list, but it's too expensive right now. Way too expensive. I should have bought the last dip when Tesla was down around 540, and I missed it by a hair. But NVIDIA and Twilio are two names that I missed and two names that I like, and they belong in everybody's portfolio. Dan Cook, I wonder, are you the comedian? Or is it Dane Cook? Hey, James, how important is it to be a whole coiner? I currently have 0.44 Bitcoin. What is your opinion to leverage with the rest with the stop loss? Great content. I'm not sure what you mean by leveraging the rest with a stop loss, but the reason I believe it's important to be a whole coiner is you will be one of 300,000 people on earth that have one. And I believe, 5 to 8 years from now, having one could mean you have $1 million asset in your pocket. And right now, I believe it should be a stretch goal for everybody to try and achieve, to try find a way of bringing $30,000 together and owning one. And it's just it's like a psychological barrier. It's like running 100 meters in under 10 seconds. That's the way I kind of try and motivate people to be a whole coiner. I figured out a long time ago when I started looking at the numbers behind Bitcoin, I knew being a whole coiner would be huge. Then I started looking at more options. So I think we're going to have a bumpy ride, but the future is very bright. I'm still confident we should see $100,000 this year. Now is the time to buy, not at 100,000. So, but having nearly half of Bitcoin is still very, very good. It also is a great achievement. For the animals, Abdullah Huddle. I love that. Very cool name. Thank you, sir. You are so kind. Now we got two people will sponsor especially. But I just want to thank everybody. East Texas Homesteader, Wells Fargo out of personal lines of credit. What they did, just in case you guys missed my Q&A on Sunday, and I cover that extensively, what Wells Fargo did by pulling out of the lines of credit market is a signal that the banks are illiquid and they are trying to put their fingers in the holes of the ship that could be sinking. Between a lot of bad debts that they've taken on, a lot of people don't have the type of money they need. The economy is hurting for certain sectors. And that is a huge red flag that the banking industry is in trouble. Their accounts are being drained from cash and savings deposits because people are upset now getting 0% on the money when they can get 6% or 8% on a stablecoin or invest into an asset that's increasing. So we'll see. Maury, could Ethereum flip Bitcoin? Yes, it could. And it's quite probable it could happen. It depends, really. It depends, first of all, how quickly. I think it definitely could happen. If Ethereum starts taking a huge piece of the $400 trillion financial services market, say, for example, the market cap of Bitcoin goes to 10 trillion and Ethereum gets 5% of the $400 trillion market, that's already double the Bitcoin market cap. So absolutely, but it'll be 2 or 3 years before that happens, I think. So, EMP cyber takedown, yeah, exactly. We'll see. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I still remain bullish. Things could be flat July, August, but 20,000 Bitcoin. If ever that does happen, that's the time you back up the truck and get whatever you can. And what would your year-end target be for 2021? I still think we got to 65K. Going from 65K to 100K is nothing. At the rate at which the coins are being drained from the exchanges, we'll see what happens. So big thank you, everybody. Also, big thank you to our huge contributors today. Super generous from Abdul. And I think it was, I've got to remember these names because if I don't, I won't be able to sponsor. Dick Anderson, Abdul and Dick, thank you so much. And we're going to dedicate this to certain animals that we sponsor every week. Thanks, everybody. Everybody be safe, hang tough. Quick look at the market. You know, it's just so flat. It's uncanny. Anyway, take care, everybody. See you soon.